But here we go. So nice to see everybody today. I don't think people were expecting the AMA, to be honest. So let's give people a bit of time to roll in, since I've been doing a few of these things now this week. Hey, Philippe, nice to see you. It's been an interesting, month, year, decade, I don't know. But it's been an interesting week this week at CoinMetro, absolutely. Some interviews happening, lots of cool things in the works, lots of partnerships, lots of stuff. Hey, Monica, nice to see you. So yeah, I'm a bit questioned out. Not sure how long I'm going to last on this one, guys. Might be a 30-minute AMA today. I don't know. Might be an hour though. We'll see. But it is Friday. I am in Mexico. It's nice and sunny. Well, sun is just about coming up now. So let's see. Here we go. Philippe. Hey, Kevin, what time will Flux be listed tomorrow? Good question. Not sure I know an exact time. I have seen conversations, though, between the Flux team and our team, just seeing exactly what pairings will go live, if there is a specific time they want them to go live according to their own marketing, according to when they're going to push into their own channels, that being the Flux team. So I don't have an exact time for you yet, but it does look, but this weekend, it's on cue. So it should happen on cue. Hello, how was your day? Thanks for having a new AMA. You are very welcome. Like I said, I feel like I've had 17 of these this week. I think I've answered questions. What I did Wednesday, Thursday, and today on Friday. Interview yesterday, which was quite fun to do. Lasted, I think, about 2 hours. And then on Wednesday, we had our great 30-minute CoinMetro's Doing Amazing Things show, which was quite cool. The new swap option on CoinMetro is possible because of Cadena Flux. Is it cross-chain, i.e. the swap between ETH Cadena? The new swap option. Are you referring to the widget on the dashboard? If so, no. Though we will be integrating more and more with Cadena. So yeah, you'll have to be a bit more specific on that question, because I'm not sure I can answer this one. But we haven't yet fully integrated with Cadena. For deposits and withdrawals, obviously. But in terms of integrating with their cross-chain and the ability to wrap assets and move, we have lots of plans, including stable coins, et cetera, but that aren't yet in play. Hi, Kevin. I heard that you are the CEO of Based. Is that true? Yeah, I don't know, actually. Somebody else would have to answer that question for me, because the word based, I think I mentioned this on another question and answer session at some point. Don't even remember when. It's been a long week. But I think when I was growing up, man, based was, I'm pretty sure when you got based, you were getting high. I don't remember on what, though. Don't remember on what. Yeah. But anyway, so CEO of Based. I've been called the CEO of Based. I haven't yet gotten a paycheck from Base, though, so if somebody can give me, phone number or a Telegram ID for those guys, I'd be interested. Let's go, Crispy. Nice. I'm trying to go. I don't know where we're headed, man, but we're headed somewhere. What is a realistic price target for Q2? Keep up the good work. I assume you're talking about XCM. I don't like to speculate on specific price. What I would say is that we've seen tremendous growth between Q4 last year, Q1 this year. We're on track to see even more growth with new licensing. Now, licensing is going to take a while to get, but the new licensing coming, with the licensing we've already acquired, EMIs, the new products, the new features, staking, etc. The trifecta between Cadena, Zell, and ourselves, Zell Network and CoinMetro. I do expect to see lots of upward demand. We've already started to see that. Obviously, CoinMetro did its own buyback. That's definitely part of the show at the beginning of this week. But I expect that show to continue. When merger with FXPig? Hey, Crispy, there won't be a merger with FXPig. So I have basically handed over, a long time ago now, 2 years ago, even more, handed over management of FXPig to another entity that owns a few other brokerages. I still have some connection to FXPig, but I don't think a merger is really in the cards. I don't think it would necessarily be beneficial for CoinMetro. I think CoinMetro already is larger than FXPig. The fact that CoinMetro is going to go after investment firm licensing so that we can offer CFDs means we can offer everything FXBig can offer, and we can also do it in a more innovative way. So I do expect us to eventually provide liquidity to CFD liquidity for crypto to FXPig once we get that license in place. And I do expect that there may be some other collaborations. In fact, we're helping them right now with some of their correspondent banks so that the correspondent banks will agree to onboard crypto entities so that they can provide us some payment rails, and then we eventually will provide them some liquidity. So there's still going to be collaboration between the two companies, but a merger I don't expect. And I don't really see it as beneficial. Hey, Kevin, how is CoinMetro changing or improving its security as it grows and becomes a bigger target? Have a good weekend. Hey, Nick. We've done, even when we were smaller, lots of things to improve our security. We just did a pen test actually from Hackin. Ended up with a 10 out of 10 after one round of revisions. They found a few things, nothing that I would call ultra critical, but they did find a few things that we patched up, but 10 out of 10 after the first revision. I would say that our security is on par, if not better than most larger exchanges in the industry, probably better than most, on par with some of the best. That doesn't mean that we still need to do things. We are going to start a public bug bounty through Hackin as well. That'll probably start around the third week of April, fourth week of April. And we'll continue to do that throughout the entire year to help us get some more robust security and pay some bounties if people can find anything. And we will be hiring in this current hiring sprint, DevOps and SysOps internally, which will help us as well stay on track to make sure that we stay as secure as we are now and potentially even better in the future. Hey, Moni, thank you. I think you actually asked a question that got asked yesterday, so I do appreciate that. But thank you very much. I thought it went well as well. I see marketing is kicked off again. Are you planning more influencer marketing? We are, and it's kicked off. We did kick it off a bit because we wanted to get some traffic around our buyback. We're still waiting though on official response from Facebook, and until we do that, we're not going to fully kick off. But definitely more influencers are planned. Absolutely. Hey, Kevin, I was wondering if the copy portfolios are managed by employees of CM. Nope. Both portfolios that are currently public are managed by clients of CoinMetro, though one of our minority shareholders is a shareholder in one of the companies that manages one of the trams, one of those copy trading portfolios. Full disclosure. Hey, Kevin, what would have been your dream job if you wouldn't do what you were doing? Thank God you do it, though. Hey, Philip. My dream job. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. I took an aptitude test in high school, and it said I should be a detective or an FBI agent because apparently I had a skill of being able to spot things, like be very aware of my surroundings. I don't think I ever thought about being. I actually went to listen to an FBI agent speak when I was in high school at some job fair, but it never really was something I think that I really wanted to do. But lawyer was definitely when I was a kid. As I got older, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. From an early age, I was 13. I think I started my first business, maybe even 12. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to work smart, not hard. Which I think I still work hard, but maybe not. I don't have to lift heavy things or, maybe sweat so much, at least not physically sweat. I mentally sweat all day long though. So yeah, I think I'm kind of doing my dream job, to be honest. Maybe if it wasn't CoinMetro, it would just be something else, maybe in a similar field. Maybe I'd be, working at a bank and trying to revamp how the bank actually deals with its clients and customer service and maybe on the innovation side. So yeah, I like challenges, and I do enjoy a good, I was going to say argument, but I do enjoy a good back and forth, where an argument, basically. I enjoy a good argument. So yeah, I guess I think I'm kind of in my dream job, but if it wasn't CoinMetro, it'd probably be something in a very similar field. Are you seeing increases in signups lately, or has it been flat? We are seeing increases, absolutely. I haven't looked actually, just because, yeah, as I said, in Mexico, I've been waking up at about 4 to 5 a.m. every day, and it's starting to kick in. And then staying, not going to bed until maybe 11, 12, or 1 a.m. And working a normal, almost 8-hour, well, usually 8 hours, sometimes 10-hour day, and then trying to get things done here as well, because I did live here for a long time, and I have, not necessarily business, but things I need to take care of here, and I try to do that the rest of the day. So it's been a long day. So I don't have exact numbers for it, but they definitely have been moving in the right direction. They've been moving up again. Hey, Kevin, will XCM pump before the loan sharks take another one off my fingers? I'm starting to have issues playing the guitar with what I have left. Well, I would say then you might want to liquidate and pay what you can, because fingers are important. And if you only have one left, you're not going to be able to do much but point, which I guess is still kind of beneficial. You can tell people what you need, but it's going to be pretty hard to take a sip of water with the one finger. I don't know, man. It's going to be difficult. So I can't tell you what XCM is going to do. I wish I could. I think long term, absolutely. But if you end up with no fingers, you're not even going to be able to press the sell button once we get to that 10 euro mark. So I'm not sure how beneficial that's going to be. I guess you could pound it with your fist. Oh, actually, would it be a fist technically? No, right? Because it would be a nub. Is it nub? Is that what we call it? I don't know. Nub fist nub. So yeah, I would say, make sure you keep at least 3 fingers on hands. I've seen a lot of cartoons with dudes with 3 fingers. It seems to work out. So I would say you need a thumb though. You can't just have three fingers on your palm, man. On the upper part, it's not gonna work. So you need a thumb and at least, I think, 2. Thumb and 1, you probably get around, but I think 2 would be best. That's just personal opinion. I have 5, so I don't really know what 2 or 3 really feels like. Is CM profitable even with the buyback? So the buyback isn't an expense because it still sits in treasury. So if we spend $1 million on a buyback, or $500,000 on a buyback, or $200,000 on a buyback, we still have $200,000 in treasury. It's just an XCM. So we were essentially break even Q1. This month looks like right now it's going to be our first profitable month, which is a huge milestone, guys. If you've ever run a business, especially one that has a high burn rate, so like a startup that's looking to expand globally, but even if you've run a small business, a coffee shop, or I don't know why I always say coffee shop for a small business. I caught myself doing that like 3 or 4 times, and it's the first thing that always comes in my head. I don't even drink coffee, and in fact, there's not really many small coffee shops left. It's all Starbucks and chains. I have no idea why that's the first thing that comes into my mind. It's like a psychological study I like to do on myself. But anyway, you own a small business. That first moment that you actually made money in a month is amazing. We're definitely on the right track. It's like when old school store owners used to put that first like dollar or euro bill or whatever that they made in their store and frame it. That's kind of at the stage we're at, which is very cool, I think. So yeah, the buyback doesn't change anything because it's still sitting in treasury. We didn't buy it and burn it. We bought it and threw it in treasury. Is XCM staking still on for April? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can pester Oliver about that in Telegram, by the way. He'll love that. If an EU person moves to another EU country, to which country he owes taxes? Hey, Bill. So I'm not a tax professional. Normally you become a tax resident in an EU country once you've been there for a specific amount of time, and you lose your tax resident status once you've left your country for a specific amount of time. So generally you would become a tax resident of the country where you're currently residing. But the first year you move, you may end up being tax resident in both, at least partial tax resident in one, or partial tax resident in 2, actually. That's generally how it works. Lots of news, obviously, this week, which was great, but any new biz dev from Mexico? So not here really for any specific biz dev. I am potentially looking to go down the road again of licensing in Mexico. I'm thinking to pick it back up. I have a few contacts, haven't actually reached out to them. I've just woken up too early and gone to sleep too late to have any time yet to be able to do that. But I do think Mexico could be an easy win for us. There's one exchange here that's pretty much top dog called Bitso. They have a similar model, I think, to what PayPal originally had. That's the charge them as much as you can because they're not going to figure it out model. And many people are now crypto savvy enough in Mexico to understand that Bitso is expensive and they look for options. It may be something that we start to move. I was actually looking to get a meeting with somebody on Saturday, but it looks like they're currently about 4 hours away from here. So might not actually happen, but we'll see. But it's definitely something that's on my horizons, not necessarily for this trip, but definitely on my horizon. Any more specific on the date for listing ADA, please? So Cardano. Not yet, no, sorry. I haven't really been able to dig into listings as of yet. I am looking for a listings manager. So anybody out there that thinks they may be well suited for that, please let me know. So no specific date yet. As we move forward though, I know I've been saying this for months, but listings will start to come faster. Absolutely. That we're still going to be picky about what we list, but they will start to come faster. Hey Pete, what is the chances, risks of when bonding KDA via CM and Zelcore, a header would be deemed inaccurate and therefore forfeiting? Well, there's always going to be that risk, right, Pete? That risk isn't going to go away. But Zelcore is going to handle the headers. And I haven't specifically talked to them about what they're doing to mitigate that risk. But I believe it did come up in a conversation, but we were on another point, so I didn't really dive into that. Oliver's been also chatting with them, so Oliver may have more information on that. There's always going to be a risk, but given the fact that they specifically are going to be tasked in this trifecta of doing just that, of generating and those headers, I do believe that the risk is going to be substantially lower than for an individual trying to do it themselves. And I do think they're going to build in some fail safes. But next week I'll try to get some, or this week, or later this week, in Telegram, you can tag me and I'll try to get some additional information from the Zell team or the Flux team or Zell Network. Can you share plans with Ignium? What licenses will they apply for? Sure. So funny enough, Ignium is going into its own funding round. I'm actually going to ask in Telegram, maybe later today, tomorrow, over the weekend or Monday, who might be interested if Ignium decides to do a public offering. A public equity offering. Right now, the idea is to do a private equity offering. There's already some interest from a few different places, both locally within the Baltics and then outward. And we're trying to see if maybe it would make sense to kind of walk the walk, talk the talk, to also do a public round, though we do want to get some exposure to some VCs this round. So as far as Ignium is going, currently Ignium is debating and researching about what licenses it's going to start to look for. It has no action relief in Estonia for the entirety of its business, except for settlements of securities from MTFs, essentially, more or less. So it's able to operate its current business underneath that no action relief from the FSA in Estonia. However, as it starts to branch out, as we as Ignium start to branch out into other countries, we're looking now at the UK, we're looking at Lithuania, we're looking at different countries to see potentially what licensing, maybe crowdfunding licensing with that peer-to-peer secondary market. Crowdfunding licensing may be enough. And so we're looking at that. And that's probably the first, because it's a little bit of a low-hanging license. It's not the most difficult license, doesn't require that much capital. So that's probably the first place. CoinMetro is probably going to require the same licensing for the primary aspect of fundraising, where Ignium will handle basically everything underneath. So they're not doing the sales, but they're doing everything else. In the end, Ignium has made a bit of a pivot because of feedback from clients and simply understanding what they need. And secondary has become a major focus. A lot of businesses express the fact that secondary is something they want. And that surprised us a bit because we assumed maybe SMEs weren't going to be so in tune to understand that that was a need. Especially at first when many of the SMEs we talked to never even mentioned it or didn't really, the light bulb didn't go off when we mentioned it. But definitely that's changing. And so that secondary market has become tied for first or the first place in terms of product offering, and Ignium on the side of cap table management, on the side of all the other services that Ignium offers and will offer in the future, options plans, etc. So crowdfunding is probably the first license. After that, it's going to, with the potential changing laws in the EU around MiCA, markets and crypto assets, which is currently being put together, something like MiFID, but for crypto assets, CSDs may no longer even be needed. That doesn't mean settlement doesn't happen. It means that MTFs will be allowed to settle for themselves. However, that's still going to leave a big gap for smaller companies that need specific services like secondary market, et cetera. So that legislation essentially helps CoinMetro, as once becoming an MTF, does not need to settle, let's say, derivatives or et cetera with a counterparty. And it helps Ignium as well, because it means that Ignium may not even need the license and can focus more on what clients are actually asking for, rather than what the industry or the regulation demands. How are CoinMetro's relations with LHV? Are they really finance world opportunists, like they call themselves? I would say LHV is more progressive than in Estonia, they're the most progressive bank. And they definitely are making strides in the SME, crypto, and payment service sector, more so than any other bank by leaps and bounds. They're still a bank, so they still have to abide by regulation. They still have compliance teams. They still have risk teams, and they still sometimes are a bit behind, let's say behind the innovation, but not because they want to be. And I generally think they are probably one of the more innovative banks that we've worked with. And the relationship is good. Any new announcements today? Probably, but we'll see as I get through. Hey Julie, would like some clarity around how the swapping works regarding the price you pay. Is swapping cheaper or more expensive than if you would do all the in-between steps? So it is more expensive. What happens when you use that widget, that buy sell widget on the dashboard, is yes, it's convenient. So it's like when you need to buy a gallon of milk or a liter of milk, depending on where you live, and it's 3 a.m. You can choose to either drive to the corner and go to the corner store, convenience store, and pay 80% more or whatever, like $9 for that gallon of milk, or you can drive an extra 15 minutes to the supermarket if it's still open and pay less and wait in a long line. So that's essentially what the dashboard widget is. It's easy. It gives you an all-in price, gives you 30 seconds to confirm, which could actually end up being cheaper if price were to move with you rather than against you in those 30 seconds on the open market. But the fee there is essentially 1%. That's 10 times the fee that's charged on the exchange. But it's there for convenience. It's also there because certain pairs don't exist yet on the exchange. And we take the risk of the lack of liquidity by allowing you to, we hold the risk on our own book and then have to hedge against it. So that's also a convenience and also why the fee is higher, because we have to take the risk. If you do all the in-between steps and go to the exchange, you're going to pay 0.1%, which obviously is a much lower fee in terms of percentage. But you also have to do all the steps. You also may not have access to some pairs that you want to trade. So you might have to go like, let's say, I don't know, for example, XCM, Ether, BTC, if you wanted to go XCM, BTC, for example, on the exchange. So now you're going to pay 2 fees, 0.2. So now it's not quite as cheap, but still cheaper than the swap widget. And there are other circumstances. You may even need to do three trades, which eventually could be 0.3, plus you're going to pay spread on all of those, plus you may end up having a price differential, so you may end up paying close to or the same as the widget. So it really depends on every single transaction, whether it's cheaper or more expensive, but the standard rate there is higher. I appreciate that, Daniel P. Nice to see you here, by the way. Great work over at Parsec, Daniel, by the way. Kind of mad that they snapped you up before we did. I guess they saw something quicker than we did. I don't know. But fantastic blog posts and stuff. Keep up the good work over there. It's really cool to see. I've read a few of them. Hey Kevin, in the future, will options trading be available in the UK? If yes, what's the time frame? We are looking at options licensing, but that would require then options licensing in the UK under the FCA. Where we're going to start is Europe. And that would be potentially under that MTF license. For the UK, that would probably be into maybe 2023, maybe, or end of 2022. Unless, of course, you have domicile somewhere else and you're able to onboard, outside of the UK. So yeah, it's on the cards, but it's not going to be our first step with this current equity round that we're raising. In Germany, Austria, and Swiss, the ads on Facebook should be in German. Actually, they can't be. So if we do ads in German in Germany, we need specific licensing for that, because that means we're targeting Germans. Same Austria, I'm not too sure. Swiss, we can probably get away with it, but Germany, definitely not. So the markets like Germany, Netherlands, UK. UK is a bit different because it's English, but if we target them specifically, geo-target them. But if we use languages in ads like Dutch, like German, then we do require local licensing, which we currently do not have, which would lead to an issue. So that's why they're in English. We understand that it would be better to have them in German, but again, it creates a risk. We only smoke in coffee shops. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely a Dutch thing, for the most part. Maybe that's why I keep saying coffee. It's good. That might be the psychological connection. Who knows? Buy GraphLink better than Parsec. Well, I would say that is definitely not proven yet. And I've read up on GraphLink. I see what they're doing. I also see what they've released versus what they say they're going to release. I have a lot of respect and a lot of support for the guys at Parsec. And I talked about this the other week as well. When there's competition, that validates your idea. This tells me that Parsec has been barking up the right tree and creating things that people actually need, and that will make a massive market in the future. And this GraphLink coming along just proves that. Can you talk more about the expansion into Asia? What country, services, timelines? So currently the expansion into Asia is simple. It's 2 people based in Hong Kong, one that's focusing essentially it's focusing on treasury. Oh, sorry. My connection's a bit bad. Focusing on treasury and back office, and the other person is focusing mostly on customer support in a few different Asian languages: Japanese, Mandarin, traditional Chinese, etc. We will slowly start to expand that expansion with different aspects. So that's translating the website, that's translating the platforms, and eventually then looking for specific licensing and maybe offering specific products in Asia that we are modeling products in a specific way for Asia. That's all going to come over time, though. Right now, that we're making our first kind of dipping our toes into Asia, and we'll go from there. Hi, Kevin. I have a lot of money stored on business bank accounts where I have 0.5% interest, negative interest, with amounts above 100K. Is there a reason why I should not store it at an exchange? Well, depends on a few factors, I guess. For me, I don't like to pay negative interest. I mean, I don't know anybody who likes paying negative interest. As a business, we have to deal with that as well, and that's why we move assets between different counterparties so we don't have to pay interest. So I would say, yeah, you could store it in an exchange. But if you're going to store it in cash, obviously, at least you're not paying the interest. If you're going to store it in something else, you're taking a bit of risk that the value of whatever you're buying when you need to cash it out may be lower. And for a business account, if this is working treasury, meaning that you're going to need it, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out, it may be a bit of a risk to put that capital into something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other crypto asset for that matter, XCM included, because potentially you could have a shortfall for when you need the funds. If it's longer term treasury, so it's not treasury you're using for the next 90 to 180 days, then potentially that risk makes sense. I mean, you see companies like Tesla, et cetera, putting money into Bitcoin, obviously for longer term than 60 or 90 days. So yeah, I mean, there's other options as well. There's EMIs, electronic money institutions, that many times don't charge those negative interest rates. There are challenger banks. There are as well other, investment accounts where you may not, you may be able to skirt putting it into bonds maybe. But yeah, definitely if you're a crypto fan and the risk is inside of your risk threshold, I would say why not diversify a bit rather than paying that negative interest. We've seen ad campaigns started running. Are there any new support faces you wish to introduce? How do you keep good support and sign up increase them? Well, we generally try to, so we haven't gone full speed on ads yet because we're still waiting for feedback from Facebook. But we will eventually. But we have started running some ads. We are hiring. There are a few candidates right now for new CS agents, and they will be coming on board. When they do, I'm sure you guys will figure out who they are, because when you go to ask a question, somebody new is going to answer it. What we like to do is always try to have our staff at least 30 to 50% above, beyond where the current kind of backlog sits, right? So we know that our current staff can handle about 600 to 700 onboardings a day without delay, without substantial delay, without like a measurable delay. Over that, they start to see some delay. As we add on every new person, that expands that by about 50 to 100 signups. So yeah, we're hiring now. We're probably going to hire 2-3 more people in support. So the good thing about hiring for support, it's not easy to find great support operators. Support's a tough job. Support's a tough job. You got people throwing shit at you all day long, and you have to be nice, which can be difficult. But it's also one that it's easy to find candidates. And sometimes those candidates don't work out. Sometimes you throw them into the fire and they just get burned and run away. But it is somewhat easier to find candidates. So we kind of leave that support role open, and just we'll constantly be looking at candidates and adding as we expand. We also have some burstable coverage in the company, because almost everybody in the company has access to intercom that we use for support. And I will jump in there, Oliver will jump in there, others will jump in there when needed. Congratulations, just purchased my first purchase of XCM yesterday. Well, congratulations to you. Thanks for joining the team. Daniel really wants us to buy GraphLink. All right. Can you elaborate more about the Asian market? I just did, Moni. If you have a specific question, though, you can ask, and I'll try to elaborate a bit more. What's your short list for listings? And if you're not sure, what new coins have caught your eye lately? Not much has really caught my eye, to be honest. I'm usually not the guy that's going to jump in first to anything, unless I know something that maybe others don't. And I don't mean insider information. I just mean that, I know the team specifically. I've already know what they're going to be doing before they made it public, et cetera, et cetera. And I just have confidence in them. It's kind of like, I don't even buy electronics on their first release. I'll wait for V2 or V3 because I know there's going to be bugs. I know there's going to be issues. And I like to see how the market, how an asset is affected by the market before I jump in. And so our short list, you can ask for it in Telegram, you'll get it. Obviously, we're going to be listing Flux here shortly. There's a few other assets. Hathor, I know, is on our short list, though. We've been had a bit of a backlog to get connected to their mainnet. They've been actually getting in touch with us to see when we can get that done. So our CTO has just been busy. And there's a few other assets like that as well that are on our short list. ALBT was on the short list, but decided never to get back to me again. They got too busy. We wanted to list it way before it pumped recently, months ago, but unfortunately they were too busy to get it over the line. Anyway, you can ask for the short list in Telegram. I focus all my time on CoinMetro, Ignium, etc. I don't really look all that much at other assets, not because I don't find it interesting, but simply because there's too much noise. And if I focus there, I can't focus elsewhere. I get asked all the time, and I get sent things to me all the time, and I'll take quick looks and give an opinion. But I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that's caught my eye, to be honest. I don't really get, I don't get stuck in the headlights. I don't see something shiny and get excited. So I really need to dig in. I can't just see something and think that it's a good idea to put money into. When are our fiat holdings going to be insured like in Coinbase? Well, Coinbase is a bit of a different structure than we have, obviously, and generally I think they're only insured if you're based in the US, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a good question. We will have insurance through our EMI licensed entity, agent licensed entity. We're currently negotiating that with the insurance companies. I would expect the next month or so we will finalize. That will give indemnity and theft insurance. And the coverage initially is going to be small, maybe $1 million or $2 million, but we will expand that over time. Once we do get that insurance, it's going to be easier for us to get other insurances. And depending on licensing we acquire, it will add on more insurance. And as we grow and as insurance gets cheaper, but also more widely available, we will insure all aspects, crypto and fiat. Just to put a point on that though, insuring fiat, you know, if you hold your money at tier 1 banks or central banks for that matter, like with the Bank of Lithuania, the only real risk to your funds is fraud or them being stolen by someone internal at CoinMetro or CoinMetro themselves, or Coinbase if it's Coinbase. And that's why they got the insurance, because it's probably cheap and the risk that something ever happens is almost zero. Insurance can be very gimmicky. It makes you feel, you know, warm and fuzzy inside, when in reality it doesn't protect you much, because the risk could be near zero on many of those insurance policies. Do you think ING about? Oh, am I thinking about listing helium? Hey Johnny. So one of my contacts mentioned helium to me. I took a look at it. It looks interesting. I'm looking to have a chat with them to find out more about what they're doing, what their plans are, and absolutely would, if you know they check the boxes and cross the T's and dot the I's, would think about listing them. Sure. Was VXV the addition you would be working with the decentralized exchange on? Tofa, with VXV, what we'd be working on would be something along the lines of our ETCF product with their baskets of data that VXV provides. I don't know if that would necessarily incorporate with the Zell network and Zell network and Cadena, but it potentially could, but that's not necessarily in the cards right now. Can you list XCUR? I'll be your listings manager. Well, DM me on Telegram. Let me know why you should be our listings manager. XCUR, not familiar with it, at least not yet. Passing on a question, okay. Can you elaborate on the situation with quant staking and when it will return? Sure, that's a quick one. So quant staking, we initially decided to pay out 50,000 euro worth of XCM for quant staking. We ended up paying out close to 200,000 euro. So you're welcome. And we can't do that from Treasury forever. It'd be stupid. And we mentioned that it was being paid from Treasury initially. Once staking for XCM launches this month, the end of this month, the next step will be to get staking for other assets and make that staking also for XCM sustainable, which means collateralized lending as well as margin lending, which will allow us to actually earn an income on the staked assets, which will allow us to continue to pay staking rewards and also potentially raise those rewards over time. When that happens, that's going to be 3 to 9 months after the release this month of XCM staking. We will bring back Quant and others, and you will be able to earn Quant when you stake Quant, or Link when you stake Link, or VXV when you stake VXV, etc. Hey Kevin, if you could have an Abraham Lincoln beard, then at least you would save a few inconveniences like eating, drinking, etc. If you could have an Abraham Lincoln beard, okay, I'm there. So far I'm good. Then at least you would save a few inconveniences like eating, drinking, etc. I don't know how having a beard stops you from having to eat. If that's the case, though, please pass on that tip, because eating takes a lot of time out of my day. When I have to figure out what I'm going to eat, it literally destroys like an hour into my day, which I wish I could get back. So yeah, GraphLink guys are really, really trying, man. They're really trying. Any closer to finding PR marketing guy? Are there enough quality people in Tallinn, Estonia, or they'll be remote? There are definitely quality people, but there's also competition for the small pool, not because there's not a lot of quality Estonians, but there's just not a lot of people in Estonia. So the pool is small, but they are definitely highly qualified. It can be remote. I don't have any issue with people being remote, and if they do their job and they're passionate and they get things done, they can live in a cave for all I care, as long as that cave has decent Wi-Fi. And we are looking, no real news on that as of yet. Yep, we actually just hired a COO that's going to be based in the UK. So yes, we are taking staff in the UK, Jane. You mentioned your expansion the other day. If so, how I apply or offer my skill set. Sarah, so send an email with your CV to jobs@coinmetro.com. CC me, Kevin@coinmetro.com as well, and we'll take a look. And yes, absolutely. We have our COO will be starting based in the UK in the beginning of May. So absolutely. Hey, Brian, nice to see you here. Good job at Parsec as well, by the way. You and Brian are really knocking out of the park over there. Can you make the email changing process easier? It's much more hands-on than other exchanges. That's all part of the new settings page, which is currently in design and should be going into production soon. They already went to production this sprint. It's either this sprint or next sprint, I think that it does. And that's going to be part of that, along with a slew of other things that'll make your life easier. So it's coming. KDA has a market cap of 160 million right now. Where do you see it going in the next 2 or 3 years? Well, look at other decentralized exchanges, compare them to what Cadena does, and can potentially offer in the future. And I think you'll understand the possibilities. Double, triple digits are definitely not out of the equation. It really depends on execution. Up to this point, the Cadena guys have been, they were silent for a bit because they were working, but now as they started to turn on those execution engines, they've been executing, and they've been doing so quite well. If they continue to execute as they're executing now, double, triple digits would not be out of the question in a relatively short amount of time. How will you continue the great customer support as CoinMetro gets popular? I think I already answered that one. It's just, expanding the team, making, automation, expanding the team. Simple as that. Kevin, do you know what APY will be for ICO tier and staking? Not yet, but you will know as soon as I know, actually. 1% is so low for convenience. I think swap widget is great. 1% is still industry leading. I think if you think about Coinbase, Changely, Revolut, anybody that offers one of these, normally it's double that at a minimum. Appreciate Brian coming in, thumb police, very nice. Hey Kevin, hope you're good. Are you a rich person? I guess you'd have to define rich. I guess to some people I would be rich. To others I would be not even close. If you ask Jeff Bezos if I'm rich, if Jeff Bezos had my bank account, he'd probably cry himself to sleep at night. But if other people had it, they may be overjoyed and never work a day again in their lives. Everybody has a different perspective on what rich is. I would say in many ways, my 3 daughters, love my 3 daughters, family, wife, etc. It's been pretty bad. I mentioned my wife last, but I think in many ways I'm a rich person. I don't necessarily consider, I don't know what rich is to me in terms of like a number. I don't really have a number. Even if I don't have to work, I will still work. I enjoy working. It's kind of my hobby. It keeps me sane and keeps me, I just like what I do. So I don't know. It really comes from perspective. And I think, like I said, depends on who you ask, I guess. Hi, Kevin. Apologies. You may have answered this already, but when will XC staking be available? End of April. End of April, man. Hey, Kevin. Your views on regulation in the future of DeFi really remind me of the new SEC head, Gary Gensler. Are you aware of him? And if so, do you think what do you think he means for crypto in the coming years? I am aware of him, absolutely. Gary's probably not going to spend years as the head of the SEC. Well, maybe years, but not an extensive amount of years. Most times that position gets changed or rolled over relatively quickly. I think, crypto's not going away. It's going to change, absolutely. It's going to get more institutionalized. That's inevitable. It's always been inevitable. DeFi, NFTs, et cetera, that right now are very fatty and I mean, not TTY, but DDY, they're fatty, they're fads. they will start to actually become more mature over time, and they will be adopted by traditional finance. I think Gensler understands that, but he also understands, as the head of the SEC, it's his job to make sure that that happens in some form of an orderly manner. And they and other regulators like them, the OCC, the FDIC, the CFTC, all the regulation in the US is going to play a major role in how that happens. And I think he understands that if they go the wrong way, it creates more risk than it would if they do it the right way. And I generally think he has he will make decent decisions. Doesn't mean all his decisions are going to be decent, but I think he's going to make some decent decisions. And I do expect the US to start to lead on the regulatory front. The EU has already made a big step forward. The US right now is a bit behind, but I do think you're going to start to see more of a lead being taken. Just start investing in XTM. Any tips for a beginner getting into different currencies? Yeah, I would say everybody says do your own research. That never tells you what that means or how you actually do that, right? And I talked about this yesterday on an interview with Paul. So, you know, do your own research generally means, look, when you invest in, it's like investing in startups, essentially, right? Small companies. And when you invest in a company, what you're investing in is the people behind the company. Because usually when you invest initially, they have no revenue, they're definitely not profitable. They just have an idea and potentially a prototype. That's it. And almost anybody can have an idea and a prototype. Prototypes are not hard to do, and ideas are a dime a dozen. So it's about looking at the team, trying to get a feel for whether you think that they're going to be able to pull it off, and understanding your own risk thresholds. Don't invest money that you can't lose. And I know that everybody says that, but really think about that when you're investing. That absolutely has to be something on the top of your list. If you can't lose it, don't invest it. Simple as that. All investment carries risk. Investing in startups carries more risk than investing, for the most part, into existing or profitable companies. So make sure that you have that caveat in your head at all times. Take calculated risks when needed. Make sure that your portfolio is divided into stable assets that over time have shown that they grow. They may be volatile. I'm talking specifically crypto here, but that they relatively remain constant or go up in value over time. Something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And then you can always have some portion of your portfolio, 5%, 10%, 2%, 1%, 20%, depends on your risk threshold, that you can throw behind micro caps, really small cap tokens that look like they have a potential to go skyrocket. As we've seen in this market a million times, 100, 500 US dollar, euro, pound investment can turn into millions, literally. Don't be dismayed when everything you bet on doesn't turn out. No one bats 100%. Think about baseball. If you hit 1 ball out of 3, you're in the Hall of Fame, almost guaranteed, if you do that throughout your career. In investing, if you hit 1 out of 30, you're in the Hall of Fame. 2 out of 30, you are. 1 out of 30, you're good. 2 out of 30, you're definitely in the Hall of Fame. 3 out of 30, amazing. If you ran a hedge fund and got 3 out of 30 every time, and 3 out of 3 unicorns out of 30, you absolutely would be talked about with the same likes of any major investor you've ever heard of. Are stake and rewards for tiers fixed? In which time frame would you give us higher rates? They're not. Are they fixed per tier? They will be fixed per tier. Have they been fixed yet? I.e., have we figured out what they are yet? No, but it's coming. Hey, Ronan, nice to see you here. By the way, if everybody doesn't know, Ronan is kind of like our unofficial meme master. So give Ronan a couple thumbs up as well. Find him somewhere and put some confetti on his page or something. Does a great job. What shampoo do I use? Jesus. It's a good question. So I use something, what the hell's the name of that shampoo? This is a good question. I never pay attention to things like this. It's called Hair, literally DS Hair, I think. It's not for growing hair either. I've never tried those things. Never used Rogaine, nothing. I guess that's kind of obvious. But it's made for like dermatitis. So I get like dermatitis, notice like around here, sometimes here, and sometimes on the top of my head. So it's made for dermatitis. Keeps me with a decent complexion. Not really sure how good of a shampoo it is. Guess it really doesn't matter because I really don't have much hair left. Will you rebrand as you begin to offer new products? We may have additional brands, and you may see rebranding as a new logo or something like that. I think the CoinMetro name is going to stick. Not sure if my Twitter message is seen here. If I didn't get to it, it might not have been. so apologize if not. You can always repost. Will Canadian dollar be added as a fiat currency? It's coming, Paul. Hey, Paul Cooperschmidt, nice to see you, buddy. Paul was a client at FXPig, and I believe an investor in FXPig. Was he? Were you, Paul? I think. A long time ago. Paul, nice to see you, buddy. Absolutely. It will be. Working on that now, actually. Working on Australian dollars and AUD to bring them into more, to get more localized deposits. And I can't really give you a timeline right now, but definitely working on it. Would you list XCUR? What are the parameters for listing projects? Potentially, parameters are varied. There needs to be legal opinions in place. It cannot be a security. We need to understand what the company's doing, what their goals are. And we absolutely want to be able to do additional things with the company, product development, community enhancement, et cetera. We want to work with companies we list. We don't just want to list them. Could you please tell more about collaboration with VectorSpace? Are you working together to bring crypto baskets? We are. We haven't yet really started just because of backup, basically. We have a lot of backup on our side. We are looking to hire new devs, and I think within the next couple months, we will kick off dev, I think, at some point with them. And absolutely, we have an ETCF product, like electronically traded crypto fund, that was in our white paper, and I think those baskets are going to help us do that. Hey, Kevin, should we trust in someone spelling when moon? I think that means they're not really part of the crypto community. That could be a spy, maybe somebody from the IRS, so you might want to watch out. Do you think this KDA still has legs at this price point? Quant seems to have a lot of volume in this area. Does it look like a leg up or leg down for you? Oh, wise one. I haven't looked at a chart, but just thinking of the fundamentals on KDA, I think the price point right now is still undervalued, and definitely undervalued for the future. If I compare it to any other coin, a governance coin, this isn't a governance coin per se. So if I compare it to a governance coin, which should really have no value, like Uniswap's token, it's completely undervalued. Absolutely. In support for 33 years and very good at it. Hint, hint. Yeah, please send that resume then. Quick. Send it over. Are you guys running Google ads? Any plans on that? Google search ads have been expensive and haven't really returned great ROI. So not really. Display ads, I think we tried out a few times as well. Didn't really get the best response. But definitely we will run all types of ads, including Google ads. Currently, we are running them in the US, I believe. Can you explain why staking is and how it is good for me? I'm very new to investing, long-term holding XCM and BTC, and I'm keen to make my investments work harder. Thanks. So what staking is, from a very high level, is an interest-bearing account. It's like a savings account. You are putting in your assets and you're getting paid interest-like payments, either in the same asset or in another asset. Simple as that. So staking for XCM will simply mean that you lock in the amount, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, whatever it is, and you'll get paid a certain percentage back in XCM for doing that. And why do you get paid? Well, just like a bank uses the money that you lock into a CD to loan out at higher rates and or fund other pieces of their business where they make a significantly higher return, same thing happens in staking. So we pay you a reward, and then that XCM that is locked becomes locked liquidity on the platform, which we can then use to provide liquidity back into margin trading, or eventually into collateralized loans where we charge a higher interest rate. Higher than we pay back is what I should say. Any update on NeoGas? No, unfortunately, no. We really need a listings manager, guys, to be able to really dig into these things, because unfortunately, while it may not seem that way, the exchange business, I think to many people seems very simplistic. It's not. We have 35 people on staff right now, and we're understaffed for our current size. And me, myself, having currently still dealing a bit with finance on the operations side and also dealing on my CEO stuff, I'm also overburdened. Product is dealing with product and marketing and other things. So we definitely need to get more people on staff so that we can put the correct focus on these things. And right now we simply just don't have the bandwidth. And I think we have very important things that we need to accomplish, which are going to help the overall ecosystem. I think a bit more than additional listings, but additional listings are coming right after, and or if we get somebody in before that at the same time in parallel. I mentioned some news about ALBT. They just haven't gotten back to me. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to move forward. What do you think about decentralized STO platforms that follow regulations? Not sure how a decentralized STO platform can follow regulations, so I can't really make a comment on that. There's definitely regulations that they can't follow, being completely decentralized. BNB price looks absolutely ridiculous with nearly a 50 billion market cap. Please explain why the hell that it is that high. Retail, FOMO, manipulation. That's why it's that high. So Binance has the ability. Now this is, I don't work at Binance, but I think Binance, there's been many rumors about Binance manipulating their token price. And it would be very easy for them to do that. So that's one. Two is they have a massive amount of clients. And they also have BNB listed at a multiple other places that get market made in smaller markets that push price up, create arbitrage opportunities, and then level price out between all exchanges. So yeah, it's a massive company, and they have the ability to kind of move the price as they see fit. Simple as that. But definitely one of the reasons it spiked is because of ETH fees. So they have their own chain and lots of business has gone onto that chain, which has caused an influx in BNB for sure. Hi, Kevin. Would it be nice to get insurance for all assets on CM? As said earlier, that is happening. We have some fake CoinMetro posts. So just so everybody knows, not that we have a few more minutes, guys. I'm going to try to get to a few more questions. Not currently, Alina, but as far as VeChain goes, but definitely it'll be one that we'll pay attention to. I know they have some integrations, real world integrations like Walmart, etc. And it is interesting, but not yet really on my list. I don't know if it's on our internal list. Could be on our long list, but definitely need to get that investment manager coming, not investment, but listings manager coming on board. So you'll, by the way, just as a caveat, guys, you're going to see these. This is not us. This is not us. Do not contact this fake CoinMetro. I see them tagging a few people here. Do not contact them. It is fake. Yeah, don't contact them because I'm sure they're going to try to scam you in one way, shape, or form. So just word to the wise. In your opinion, KDA's technology just spirited out of ETH. I think it's different. I think it'll suit a different market. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but it definitely is different, and it will suit additional markets that ETH potentially won't be suitable for in its current form. Kevin, you seem to be a bit of a leg. No. That's a good spot, man. I've been doing that actually since I was a kid. I actually fall asleep by moving my leg. It's a way for me to it's almost like a de-stressing agent. So no, nothing big on my mind. Just, it's kind of a way it's weird, but it helps me focus. It's like that movement kind of drums out all the rest of the noise, and I'm able to focus on whatever I'm doing. But good catch. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that when they can't see my legs. So very nice. They may have, but I don't recall, to be honest right now. I heard someone say recently that regulation will cause the next big dip. Do you think regulation will cause a dramatic shakeup? No, it hasn't yet, and I don't think it will. I think smart market players know it's coming and are prepared, and will be prepared every time it comes. And no, I don't expect any big dips from regulation. They do, actually. They do get bonuses. Can you wish Brandon happy birthday? It's his birthday today, and he's a huge fan. Hey, Brandon, if you're listening, happy birthday, buddy. Thanks for being a fan. Thanks for being supportive. I don't know how old you're turning today, but however old you are, congratulations for getting an extra year in this life. And again, thanks for the support, buddy. Really appreciate it. Hey, Orvo, nice to see you here for the first time. Are AC employees currently at high risk of getting fired? That's insider information, buddy. I definitely can't let that one leak. That would be absolutely ridiculous. When will you have USD in the market? We do. We have USD pairs. I'm so happy I got in months ago. I'm hodling your staff are so good and they help me fast. Awesome. Glad to hear that. We definitely do have USD pairs. You can find them on the exchange. You can find them on the markets page as well if you look under pairings for USD. Can you swap LTC for XCM and KDA using the swap widget right now? KDA, you should be able to, yes, actually. I've noticed last month you've changed my ETH deposit wallet. Have you done some internal changes, moved from Bitco? No, those update when they're not used. So always before, caveat, always before you're gonna make a deposit, make sure you check again. Don't save addresses. We will have an update in our settings page, which will allow you to permanently hold on to an address. Right now, though, they are recycled because it does cost us money to create addresses, significant money to create addresses on chain through Bitco. So every time you're gonna make a deposit, even if it's one day to the next, even if it's the same day, spend the 10 seconds, check it, make sure it's the same. Don't send money to an address that you haven't checked. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to end it there. It's been just about an hour. I really appreciate it. There's lots of questions I couldn't get to this week, which is awesome, or not. So please tag me on Telegram if you still have a question, at Kevin Murcko. You can see it at the bottom of the screen in case you don't know how to spell it. You can also tweet me at the same, at Kevin Murcko. I will respond in due time, in due course, when I can, when I have time. It is gonna be the weekend, guys. It's Friday. If you can't spend time with those friends and family physically, do it virtually. And as I always say, when you're chatting on Zoom or Skype, no one uses Skype anymore. When you're chatting on Zoom or I don't know, Jitsi. Jitsi is a new one, isn't it? Jitsi. Anyway, whatever you're using to chat on, or you're sending TikTok videos, I don't know what you're doing, Instagram, make sure that you put in that caveat that the best way to get out of the doldrums of lockdown is buying Axiom. And I will see you guys here next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for the support. Really do appreciate it. Love doing these AMAs. Going to continue to do them forever. Let's get to €1, guys, because the beard is not getting any shorter. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Cheers.